Thank you for browsing page 121. Today we're going to take a look at the Starship Operator's Handbook, new from Mongoose. I've had a couple requests for this. The reason I didn't put it out sooner is it's a lot to read. We're going to go through it. It's 170 pages. It just got released in PDF from Mongoose. And we're going to take a look at it and see what's good and a couple of grumbles that I have about it. Today on page 121. Also, real quick reminders, please subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video if you like it, and also take a look at the Patreon, see if you can help me out there. I want to continue to grow the channel. That's it. Today, the important stuff. Starship Operators Manual. Starship Operators Manual from Mongoose for Mongoose 2nd Edition Traveler, today on page 121. Okay, the Starship Operators Manual for Traveler, Mongoose Traveler 2nd Edition. This is brand new. And our writers are Adrian Times, Sabrina Times, Gabriel G.A.B. Fonseca, that's a hard one to say, and Robert Eaglestone. So there we go. We're going to take a look. There's a table of contents. This is brand new. This just came out at the end of April. So it's been out a week and a half by this time. We get a nice forward from Mark Miller. And then we get the introduction. And what this tells us is this book is going to be about 3 different classes of ships. The scout ship, a far trader, and a safari ship. These are the ships that are pretty much available as characters muster out. So I kind of like that. I thought that was pretty neat. These are accessible ships. There's nothing exotic the characters are never going to see. So I thought, okay, that's on point. And living with higher tech. And then we get a look at some of the terminology that's going to be used, some of the artwork in here. The artwork in here is fine. The left-handed salute struck me as a little odd, but maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. But we get the terminology, we get the ship types, the sizes. We get a nice comparison. Silhouettes, I like that. What the hull is made of. And then we get elements of life support. And this is the first thing that confused me a little bit as to why these buttons are here. They're not really addressed directly in the portion about the hull, and yet we get the void. Void, I'm guessing, is that's the void is the lighting. Fire is heating. Water is the water dispenser. Airlock is gas. Air is air filter vent, and then the fresher is soil. What confused me is why the water dispenser and the airlock buttons are so similar to each other. I would hate to be trying to get a nice, refreshing glass of water, and I end up drinking some vacuum. I didn't understand why those were where they were placed, but okay. And then we get various parts of the ship, the sensor nodes, jump drive emitters, that kind of stuff. And it's all explained when you are learning about the hull. And then we get options and aquatic options. Can you take your ship underwater? And the immortal line from Futurama, Professor, how many atmospheres can this ship take? Well, it's designed to operate in space, so between 0 and 1. You can't take a ship deep because they'll tend to get crushed. That begs the question a little bit as to when you're diving into a gas giant a little bit and you're greater than 1 atmosphere, what happens to the ship? It's addressed here. So we get to armor technologies. I liked this. I liked all the information. I was confused by the lack of artwork in the early go, and I'm not going to knock the whole book all the way through, but I was surprised by that. This is a good example, the iris valve opening. Okay, we get the control panel, we get the iris valve, and it tells us in here, one quick thing, this is designed to be your operator's handbook. You bought your ship, and this is the thing in the glove compartment, and you're going to read it now and know how to understand it. So I was all in on that. I thought that was really cool. But now I see the iris valve, and it tells us the iris valve, if it's stuck for whatever reason, the best way to open it is to just bend one of these flanges. It doesn't give us an example. There are no examples given throughout the book. There are no diagrams or illustrations as far as how to do some of the things that are depicted here. I was a little frustrated by that. If this is my owner's manual, I should understand exactly what they mean when they say bend the iris valve. They should show me an example in the illustrations. I just was a little confused by why that was left out. And then we get some internal transit. If the ship is big enough, you could have a little rail car, elevators. Of crawl spaces that you crawl around in, and then we get to look at the power systems. All of this is very valuable knowledge. If you're a Traveler GM or just someone who plays Traveler on a regular basis and really want to get to the nuts and bolts of his Starship, this is definitely a book for you. I wish they had done things a little bit differently, and as we get deeper into the book, I'm going to show a little bit why I was confused by a few things. But so we get the systems, we get the electrical power conversion, power cells. All you're going to want to know about those. We get nice illustrations all the way through, but most of them are about a third of the page. Fusion fuel tanks, fuel scooping and processing. All this is incredibly valuable information for Traveler. And before I was a Traveler GM, I was a Traveler player. I still read all this stuff because I liked geeking out about Traveler. I enjoyed myself geeking out in this book. So we get a nice look at the life support. We get the air purification unit placement throughout the ship for our scout class. And then temperature control and all kinds of goodies. We get a nice cutaway view there. I liked that. Talk about radiation, water recirculation, water processing, fire suppression, all important stuff aboard your ship. If you have a fire aboard your ship, especially if you're in jump space or away from a starport, you've got a problem, and it's a problem you need to resolve. And you need to resolve it sooner rather than later. Emergency rescue equipment. We got a little rescue ball that you could just jump in. Instead of a vac suit, you could jump in the rescue ball and evacuate the ship. Calls for rescue, food storage and preparation. This is the other thing that confused me a little bit. I appreciated no white chunks in the book, but it was jolting to go from one section to another and have it be almost at the bottom of the page. It was just, it was almost like a non sequitur in a conversation. It was a strange editing choice. Then we got to look at sanitation, plumbing, such as it is aboard your ship, laundry and dishwashing, cleaning, medical cautions, medical needs, low berths. Again, we go from cleaning to medical needs. And we get a nice depiction of some medical stuff. Counseling aboard the ship, stateroom equivalents, cargo and docking systems. So we get the docking options, airlocks, subcraft docks. This would have been a good place to put just a whole ton of illustrations. We get the 1/3 page here. We get escape pods, fitting large cargo in your ship. Nice little chart for that. Live cargo, how you deal with that, especially with the safari ship. Short-term and long-term, how you deal with them. Feedstock storage. Bedding, waste. Non-animal live cargo. Cargo handling options. And they even talk about slave cargo. So if you're running the Pirates of Drenax or any of that area, the Glorious Empire, you get some nice slave options there. We look at grav carts. Now we look at the ship's computer. This is one of the things I was really excited about. I wanted to see the ship's computer, all the insides and outsides. Primary and secondary node operations of the ship's computer, ship software, consoles and control panels. Wait a minute. Consoles and control panels, that's all we get. I wanted full laid out control panels. We've seen it before in many Traveler products. I was confused as to why they weren't here. This is my owner's manual. You have an owner's manual for a car. They give you a depiction of what the dashboard layout is, and they give you it by itself. I just thought it was curious that we did not get anything like that in here. And then we get a look at Aslan control panels, which was nice. We get computing hardware. Security aboard the ship, cybersecurity, physical security, always important stuff for travelers. We get a nice little look at the ship's kitty cat, a la Jonesy from Alien. Stowaways, how you deal with them, artificial intelligence in your computer. And it talks about whether the artificial intelligence would count as a SOFONT or not. And then we get a look at the Symbolian chips, which lead to virus. So I wonder if they're prepping us a little bit for virus with that. I'm not saying they are. I'm just wondering, scratching my head a little bit. Virus would still be, even from the timeline of the Fifth Frontier War, we're still a good 25 years, 15 years from virus. So sensors and communications. No, we'd be 25 years. Yes, 2030 was when virus came about, thereabouts. Sensors and communications, also very important. And this section alone, for me, it was worth picking up the book. I love stuff about the sensors and communications, active and passive sensors, your common sensors, densometers, densitometer. I always like those. This is all stuff that's what I first read in the classic Starship Operator's Manual by Digest Group Publications. This is the heir to that publication. I was really excited about it, but it was done in a different style, and I think that was intentional, but they went so far away from the style that one was done in that they kind of walked away from some of the important stuff to me. Again, I want depictions. I want to see examples. I want to see even a little sidebar telling me how to operate some of this stuff. And we didn't get much of that. We get a nice look at the sensor placement on the Scout. Now we talk about gravatics, also something that's definitely worth getting this book for. We get grav plates, internal gravatics, lifters. Nice look at a maneuver drive. Suleiman M drives, where they're placed in the back there. High gravity worlds, how you land on those. Very, very useful information in this section. I enjoyed it. Gravatic signals, tractor pressors, jump drives, the basics of jump space. Again, if you're into Traveler, this book is definitely going to give you this stuff. A lot of this has appeared in a lot of different places over the life of Traveler. Having it all here in one convenient cover is incredibly useful. So even though I knew a lot of the stuff that was in here, it didn't matter. I liked it. And it's well presented. It's well written, well presented. A couple of typos here and there, but nothing at all. Nothing bad. Nothing to take you out of the book itself. And that was what I was missing, though, is the immersiveness. This book is very, very good and very, very technical, but it's not immersive to me as far as what we're doing, why we're aboard ship, how it is to live aboard ship. I'm told how to live aboard ship, but I'm not really shown how to live aboard ship, and I was disappointed in this book for that. In-system jumps, very good. Jump drive systems, the jump field. Lots of good information on that. This really fun page that shows the different styles of the Lanthanum grid, if they're using that particular style of jump, and how they would look based on the alien race's artistic endeavors. Jump intrusions, which is when the jump bubble folds into the ship. Maintenance and upgrades. Nice depiction of a ship possibly in jump. And then we get reaction drives. It talks about rockets, nuclear thermal rockets, where they push the ship up into the atmosphere, into orbit, or out along in space. Weapons and defenses, very good information here. Weapon mounts, turrets, fixed mount, barbette, bay, spinal, and where they're placed. Types of weapons, we get a nice look here. So this is a great complement to High Guard. If you've done High Guard and you've built a ship or two, this book will tell you kind of the reasons why you're doing what you're doing in that book, which I liked. This is a great addition to that. We had to look at different guns, the ion cannons, plasma infusion guns, the effects of radiation, slug thrower guns, defensive systems, software assistance, black globes. I love those black globes. Texas T. I really love black globes in Traveler. One of the things that really interested me, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more on black globes. I know they're not that common. It doesn't matter. They're still cool. Dogfighting, it even talks about, 200-ton displacement ship against a capital ship displacing 500,000 tons. The 200-ton ship is the equivalent of a snub fighter, and so it can engage in dogfighting, a la Han Solo charging at the Star Destroyers in Empire Strikes Back. Hot boarding actions, what you do in a mutiny. Artillery, that's orbit bombardment with artillery. Amenities aboard it, workstation ergonomics. I thought, okay, great, we're going to get a lot of look here at workstations. We don't. We get a picture of a kitchen. And common area options, pets, there's Jonesy again. Exercise and sports, VR games and themes. Crew roles, I like this too, because it tells you the astrogator basically works until you hit jump and after you come out of jump, but until then he puts his feet up. So it tells you some things to do with that. Keep him busy, give him other things so people aren't resentful that he's not doing anything. Some interesting stuff here. Everyone duties, I liked that. Specialized but shared. Supercargo, people who are aboard who don't do much of anything. Astrogators tend to get that tag put to them. Busy work. They don't recommend busy work. Busy work's not a good thing. People don't feel that they've accomplished anything when they're given busy work. Maintenance and repair, annual versus ongoing maintenance. Again, really good information in here. Very few pictures. And I don't know what that picture is. We're repairing something, emergency maintenance, I can tell that by the section it's in, but I don't know what. I don't know details. So a little caption on a picture like this would have been nice. Ship retirement. And then we get a look at the ship walkthroughs for the Animals Type K Safari ship, the Suleiman class Type S Scout Courier, and the Empress Marava Type A2 Far Trader. We get all the high guard stats for it, which I definitely was expecting. So that's good. And these are common. These are in the core rulebook, if I'm not mistaken. And then, so that I was happy with. And then we get to look at sensors. And now we start getting some cutaways on the sensors. Okay, now we get the Emperor Marava sensors, the sensors on the hull. We get a look at the bridge. It's a distant look at the bridge, but at least it's labeled and tells us what each thing is. I would have liked a tighter shot in all three bridges. The office gets a nice look there, and then we get a nice breakdown. This is similar to what was done in the DGP book in the 80s. I was confused as to why this was left to the very end of the book. This starts around page 140, and I was confused as to why these weren't included in the section they were telling us about the ship. I thought it would have been more impactful up there than clumped here toward the end. It's a book design feature decision. That's fine. I don't agree with it. I would have put these earlier in the book because this is really what I was looking for when I bought this book. And then we get the nice cutaways. I like all of these. The maneuver drive, jump drive, which I thought looked a lot like the Whopper computer from War Games, the 1983 movie. Right there especially reminded me of the Whopper. If anybody knows that film, take a look at that scene. You'll know it. Cargo hold, and then the fuel processor, a turret, and then we get a look at the insides of the turrets. But again, we don't get a close-up. We don't know what all these lights and buttons mean. I wanted to know that. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe we get a nice look at the low berths, the cryo sleep. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I was expecting more out of that. I don't know, but I definitely was thinking I would get some control panels with some descriptions. The main thing I was excited about this was I can read this and thoroughly enjoy it. My players don't read Traveler. They go by what I tell them, and they'll read an article here or there if I recommend it to them, but they don't buy these books and read them. So I wanted some actual depictions of workstations so I could put it in front of them on the table and say, okay, there's your workstation. I didn't get that. I'm very disappointed in that. And then we get a nice index, which I always like, and then the back of the book. So it's a total of 170 pages, which is a good sized book, and there is a ton of text in here. So there's a tremendous amount of labor, and I don't want to belittle that. The work on this book was staggering, and the detail is very fine. I still think the book could have been improved by more illustrations showing us some of the stuff instead of just when you need to go through the door, you just pull the override lever. Show me the override lever. Show me the panel and then show the panel open and pulling the lever. That's what they do in handbooks when you buy a car. So it was stuff that I felt was just not done. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking of the old 80s way of doing things. I don't think so. It was some strange choices from my opinion. Overall, yes, I would absolutely buy this book, especially if you're a Traveler referee. I'm delighted to have this book in my library. I'm glad I bought it. I wish they had done things a little different for me as a Traveler consumer. This book would have been much more impactful if I could have put it in front of my players and said, here you go, this is what we'll be doing. So that's it, just me. One thing I've said it before, I don't work for Mongoose. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I'm just a fan. I really did like this book overall. I did think that there were some weaknesses in it, and I've brought those out straight through the video. So not trying to be negative. I never try to be negative on the channel. I absolutely am happy I added this to my library, and I do recommend it. But this is much more of a GM's book than it would be for something a casual player would want to pick up. But that's all I've got to say today on page 121. Thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you next time.